Today, I'm talking with Courtney. Over the last 12 months, Courtney has seen some dramatic results on the carnivore diet. Let's meet Courtney. So, you've lost 45 pounds. Is that right, Courtney?
I have. Yeah, it took me about a year to lose 45, so low and slow, and I still have about 20 pounds to go.
You've been on the carnivore diet for about 12 months. What led you to carnivore and what is it that has kept you going?
What led me to carnivore was actually seeing Paul Saladino, Carnivore MD's TikToks. My husband was sending them to me, and I was like, "Why are you sending me these? Like, what is wrong with you? We're not supposed to eat vegetables." He's like, "I don't know. I gotta do some research." Mind you, we were in the keto low carb space for 6 to 7 years, on and off, and I never once heard of carnivore. So this was all new to me, and I was coming off of a 4 month binge, so to speak. So I was feeling horrendous and I was just willing to try anything. So I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. Here we go. And I started off animal based for about 5 weeks, quickly realized the fruit wasn't working for me. And I went carnivore and I haven't looked back. It's been amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. And so you said you were on keto for 6 to 7 years before that. You just weren't getting the same results. Was your weight stable during that 6 to 7 year period, or how are things that way?
I got weight loss results and then I would go off of it. And I think with keto for me, there was a lot of cheat meals involved. There was a lot of keto treats. From being carnivore, I'm learning a lot about myself and my past eating habits. And I've learned that I'm a carb and sugar addict. And for me, I need to abstain and I can't moderate. So having those keto treats just continuously, they kept the sugar cravings going. So that's why it didn't work for me. It wasn't sustainable because of having those sweet things.
Yeah, those keto treats are death. That's I've tried low carb and keto myself many times before, and those the keto bars or whatever are always what throws me off and gets me back to eating the normal way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all right, so you've lost 45 pounds. What else has improved for you in the last 12 months?
Oh my goodness. So my skin has cleared up drastically. I've always had really bad skin. So that's been awesome. No gas, no bloating. So that's great. My two big ones would be the food freedom, which I know doesn't make sense. A lot of people are like, well, how do you have food freedom? You're not eating any of the foods. But to me, food freedom is mentally being free from obsessing about foods. Before, I would, if there's like a box of donuts, I would either try not to have them or I would have them and binge on them and then restrict the next day. Or maybe I was tracking my macros. So I would track one, but then constantly be thinking about having more. Now that that's out of my diet, the desire is not even there. I could be around them and I don't want them. Like it's just done. So going like the mental gymnastics I would go through obsessively thinking about those foods was exhausting. And now I just feel free of it. I don't even think about it. I mean, I'm excited and I think about my ribeye that I'm going to have, but I feel like it's a positive thing and it's good for me and it's nutritious. So that has been life changing. And the other thing, and I didn't even know this was to be expected. I didn't go to carnivore thinking this would be a benefit, but I was able to go off of my Zoloft, which is a medication for anxiety and depression. And I didn't know that was even going to be a thing. I was on such a low dose because a higher dose numbed me out. So the dose was low, so it wasn't totally helpful. I was still having a rough time, but that made it able to see the difference. Once I started eating this way, I could tell my mood improved. Like all things started to improve. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel really good. Like I think maybe I can start to wean myself off of this. So, they say and inflammation and inflamed brain is linked to depression and anxiety. So if you're eating an anti-inflammatory diet, it kind of makes sense why that would help. And it kind of chaps my ass that no one told me this before. It's almost like they don't want you to know that the food you eat can affect your mental health.
That's a really good point. And it's so nice to hear that, you have been able to, you've been able to improve things like your anxiety and depression. I really like the way you talk about food freedom because that's the way I would kind of I don't have such good ways of describing things, but yeah, that's exactly my feeling about food as well, is that you just you just feel free of it. You don't feel like there's that like my situation with the box of donuts as well would be almost exactly the same. It's either all or nothing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Finish off the box of donuts and then feel lucky when I've woken up from a nap afterwards that I've got one of the donuts stuck to the side of my head and I can eat that too, you know. Um, so how is your husband doing? So you said your husband is the one that was originally sending you the TikToks. Is he doing this as well as wholeheartedly as yourself?
Yeah, so he started off strict carnivore and I started off more animal based, not ever thinking I would be strict carnivore because my little sugar addicted brain was so happy to be having, blueberries and maple syrup on my burgers, which is very delicious, by the way. Sounds gross. But yeah, after like 5 weeks, I realized that wasn't working for me. So I jumped on the straight carnivore wagon with him. He also does have some cheats here and there, but he's not like me. Like he can have that and get back on track and not give it another thought. It would having a bite of something he shouldn't doesn't send him into a downward spiral of binging. But it's been awesome having him be on the same page. I couldn't imagine having a partner that is still eating a standard American diet. I mean, I wouldn't be tempted by the foods, but it would kind of be frustrating to not like agree on such a big topic, I feel like.
So, what is your day of eating like? Do you and your husband both eat at the same time? And is it like once a day, twice a day? How do you do it?
I typically eat 2 times a day. If I'm hungry in the morning, I'll eat. I won't push it. I occasionally fast, but I do it when it feels easy. So yeah, typically 2 times a day, lots of beef, butter, eggs, occasional dairy. I find dairy, especially heavy cream, can be a trigger for me. I can fall back into my old binging ways because it tastes very sweet to me.
And are you just eating until you're eating a certain portion size? You mentioned macros before. So are you measuring things out or are you just kind of eating until you're full and that's it?
Yeah, so I tracked macros initially in the beginning just to get an idea of like what the heck I was doing, like what's an ideal amount to be eating. And then I went the majority of the time without tracking, but I'm finding these last 15, 20 pounds are hard. So I am tracking again just to make sure I'm kind of where I should be. But maybe I do it wrong because I also don't force it. Like if I'm like at the end of my macros, but I'm genuinely hungry, I will eat. But I think it's good to see like, okay, I'm at the end of what I should have. Like, am I actually hungry or am I just feeling snacky? So yeah, I am tracking right now just to get into maintenance mode. Once I'm in maintenance, I'm done tracking.
If you go out to social events and stuff like that, how do you go with a dinner with friends or something like that?
Yeah, so going out to dinner, I haven't had any issues. I mean, I'm not going to a vegan restaurant, so any other restaurant is going to have meat options. So I just get whatever meats they have. A lot of the times, you can get like order them a la carte and it's cheaper than just getting an entree and saying no sides. So I'll do that. And I sometimes, like most of the time, will be like, oh, can you cook it in butter so they're not using seed oils? But sometimes I don't. Like, I don't know. I probably should all the time, but sometimes I don't want a loogie in my food. I don't want to irritate anyone. But yeah, I haven't had any issues going out to eat.
You live in California, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Southern California.
There is a lot of eating opportunity, like restaurants and eating out opportunities there, right? Are you
Yeah,
near
yeah, we have
are you near LA or San Francisco? Or?
I'm an hour south of LA.
Ah, okay. So nice weather, nice dining options. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of good restaurants down here. But it's different now that you're not eating all the things. So now it's more like steakhouses is what we try and go to
Mm,
when we do go out.
yeah. Okay. And have you had anyone have kind of shocked reactions or strange reactions to this new diet?
Like in real life, the people I know or at restaurants.
Both.
At restaurants, they are always so confused why you don't want the sides. Like I've even had sometimes where the fries are still on the plate because they just can't understand like what I'm asking for. Um, Everyone in my real life has been really receptive, and I've actually had quite a few family members go carnivore since me just sharing my journey, not trying to convince everyone to do this, but they see the transformation I've gone through, how good I feel, and they get curious and try it for themselves and they feel amazing.
Mm. Oh, nice. And that transformation, I think we were talking about this offline. That transformation has been very noticeable. I was talking about how I'd watched one of your original videos or the original video, and it's very noticeable the big change in you.
Yeah, I agree. I sometimes see old videos of myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, it looked like I was like in a movie wearing a fat suit. Like I just can't believe like my face almost looks painful, like it's about to explode. So I'm lucky that before carnivore, I was already showing up on social media, sharing like my low carb keto stuff. So I'm lucky I have all this footage of me to now have like comparison photos. And it's wild. And it's wild to see. It still blows me away. I'm like, gosh, that was like a whole different person.
Yeah, I've got some video of me before I went on the diet as well, and I find it's really one of the great things about having that is if you're ever feeling kind of down about, your lifestyle, you just have to go back and watch one of those videos and think, that's why I'm doing this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely motivating to if you're struggling. Yeah, like because the scale goes up and down. The weeks can get wonky. You can get frustrated. But if you look at your beginning, you're like, oh my gosh, I've come a long way. Like it's definitely you can inspire yourself with your own transformation.
Mm. So you mentioned other media there. I think I saw something in one of your videos where you were talking about you've been mentioned in like regular media or articles or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's actually been quite a few. So online stuff like Daily Mail, Newsweek, New York Post, and then I was also on Inside Edition. And then I feel like there was one more, and they actually like used the clip from Inside Edition, another like TV news series. So yeah, it's funny how eating a proper human diet is considered newsworthy.
Yeah, it's like I'm just doing what's normal, and everyone suddenly wants to interview me. Everyone thinks I'm
Yeah,
strange and wants to, look me over or something.
exactly. Like it's just crazy that it's gotten the attention that it has. Here I am just trying to make myself feel better and share my journey, and people think I'm insane.
Were those write-ups or interviews positive experiences for you? Did anyone was anyone kind of heavy-handed or kind of have some agenda that they wanted to, bash you around with?
Yeah, nothing was too terrible. I mean, it would kind of just say what was going on, but then of course they would have somebody on the side, another nutritionist that would be like, "Oh, this is so unhealthy and unsustainable." But I didn't feel like any of them were like horrible. It was just saying what I'm doing and saying how it's wrong, but I'm so used to that. I hear that every day anyways. So, yeah, nothing too terrible. I feel like any press is good press. I'm just glad that, the message is getting out, even if it is in a not so positive light. I feel like the people that are struggling will hear it and get curious. And honestly, that's just all it's about for me, is just trying to help other people feel good.
I think it's important to kind of think that any press is good press. That's a good way of looking at it, right? Because I mean, it sounds crazy because this should be a normal way of eating, but we're kind of at the beginning stages of this. So any change starts this way, right?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, I mean, obviously, carnivore has been around for a while. You have Kelly Hogan that's been doing it for 14 years, but I really feel like the last handful of years has really, it's just been getting a lot of press and a lot of attention. So maybe, I know there's a lot of people that still don't think keto is a good idea, but I'm hoping this will become a little bit more mainstream, where people, that are accepting of keto can maybe understand why this is a good way of eating as well.
Yeah. I think we'll know it when it becomes mainstream because the food companies will start putting out carnivore bars in the supermarket.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, once people start making money on this, or when they see that they can make money on this, besides our little carnivore community snacks that are put out. But yes, once they're mainstream grocery store, for sure.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's considering starting this diet? How would you recommend they get started?
Yeah, if someone's curious, I would definitely give it a shot. I would say minimum 30 days, but 90 days to really, really feel the effects. A lot of people go cold turkey, and that's fine, and they might not have issues. I don't see anything wrong with easing into it. I'm not a nutritionist, so a lot of this stuff's out of my wheelhouse, but there's like oxalate dumping and histamines and this and that. So it could be easier to ease into it. Maybe just slowly remove some of the plants. Maybe switch to a lower carb, then keto, then try carnivore, because it can be a big adjustment with the fat. If you're coming from a low fat, high carb diet and you're pounding 150 grams of fat, well, you're going to be running to the bathroom. So there's the toilet issues in the beginning that can be a problem for some. So yeah, I would just ease into it. You don't need to make all the changes in one day. Just take it slow. You've come from years of probably not eating great. So continuing it on for a few more months as you transition, like that will be fine.
Hmm. And on that point, so you said that you basically came from a keto background. So your transition was relatively smooth into carnivore?
Well, I was keto for 6, 7 years on and off, but right before I found carnivore, I got caught up in the anti-diet culture BS. So I saw all this content and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, like all foods are good. There's no such thing as bad foods. You can eat everything. Like, sure, let's moderate some croissants. So the first week actually went good. I lost 2 pounds eating whatever I wanted, like in moderation. Oh, I hate that word, moderation. But then it slowly spiraled. I'm a carb and sugar addict. I can't moderate things. I need to abstain. So I did 4 months of that. I was in the drive-through of McDonald's every night getting a McFlurry. Like it was a 4 month binge. And I was just at my rock bottom. And that's when I found animal based. So that, yeah, having that transition, I think from having some of the carbs and animal based before going carnivore definitely worked out well for me.
And you said you don't like the word moderation. Yeah, I feel like moderation is a little bit like it's just one of those throwaway words like balance. It doesn't really mean anything, but it kind of makes people who want to eat whatever they want. Makes them feel good. Well, that's
Yeah.
okay. As long as I've got a bit of broccoli on my plate, I can eat the ice cream and apple pie.
Yeah, it gives them the permission they need to continue on with their carb and sugar addiction. Like, okay, everything in moderation, have a balanced diet. Well, do you also do cocaine on the weekends, but only on the weekends because you got to balance it out? Like, that really bothers me too.
Mm. what is your feeling about where we're going to be in like 10 or 20 years from now?
Oh gosh, I'm kind of afraid, honestly. You know, you see all this stuff with them pushing a vegan agenda, lab grown meat, crickets. Like, I'm concerned. Like, should I go out tomorrow and start looking for land to buy my own farm and have some cows? Like, it is concerning, and I'm hoping it doesn't go that way. But eating this way has it's so political. I had no idea, and it's yeah, it's scary.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share?
I think we pretty much hit it all. I mean, yeah, I would just encourage anyone that's curious to try. And you know, my DMs are open. I'm happy to help anybody. You know, I have videos on how to get started. I have an ebook on how to get started. I have a private community. Like, I just want everyone to try this and
Mhm.
feel better. And I'm happy to help support in any way that I can.
So that's a good point. If people want to reach out to you, Courtney, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm on all the social media platforms. My handle is at it's Courtney Luna, except for YouTube is just Courtney Luna. Yeah, reach out. Let me know how I can help you. Come say hi. I'd love to chat.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.